Good day, good day, good day, everyone. Welcome to Living Life in Joy. I am Rev Melissa. I am an interfaith minister, licensed religious science practitioner, spiritual life coach, and the spiritual director, senior minister at Rockland Centers for Spiritual Living. And this is Living Life in Joy. It is the show where I get to share some joy in another way by sharing the other people's connections to their yes. Let's say that. And so today is a very special show because we are celebrating Black History Month. And we kicked it off last week with the special showing of Test Driving While Black. And our special guest was my producer, my soul brother, Sekou Wright. So if you missed last Sunday's Living Life in Joy, you want to check out the replay and check out Test Driving While Black. It is Sekou's short documentary about a situation that he and his friend Rush experienced while test driving a car. So that's all I'm going to tell you. You have to check it out. And so today we're going to continue sharing our stories, sharing our Black stories about being Black in America. How about that? And so today we're going to share the story of two, I can't even say two people. So one is an individual, and the second is a whole family, a whole family. And these two stories are part of the Black History Moments that New Thought Media Network is doing to honor and celebrate National Black History Month. So every single day in February on New Thought Media Network's Facebook and YouTube channel, you can tune in and hear a Black History Moment. It's a daily inspiration and prayer for racial healing. And so I am just so grateful to participate in this uplifting oneness journey with New Thought Media Network as they honor Black History Month. So let's go, set, ready. Okay, so the first person that I am so excited to introduce or maybe reintroduce to folks, because I had no idea about this man and his fabulousness in the world. He is Bass Reeves, and he is known as the real inspiration behind the Lone Ranger. So, do you know the Lone Rangers? I grew up watching the Lone Ranger. And so, this man, this Black man, okay, who was formerly a slave, is the inspiration behind the Lone Ranger. And we all know the Lone Ranger that was depicted on the radio and depicted on the television show was not a Black man. So, let's watch and learn about this amazing Black History moment. Good day. I am Rev Melissa, Spiritual Director at Rockland Centers for Spiritual Living. Welcome to New Thought Media Network's Black History Moment. Did you know that the Lone Ranger was a Black man? Yes, his name was Bass Reeves. In 1838, nearly a century before the Lone Ranger was introduced to the public, Bass Reeves was born into slavery in the Arkansas household of William S. Reeves, who relocated to Paris, Texas in 1846. It was in Texas during the Civil War that William made Bass accompany his son George to fight the Confederacy. While serving George, Bass escaped to Indian Territory under the cover of night. The Indian Territory, known today as Oklahoma, was a region ruled by 5 Native American tribes who were forced from their homeland due to the Indian Removal Act of 1830. Upon arriving in the Indian Territory, Bass learned the landscape and the customs of the Native American tribes, even learning to speak their languages. After the 13th Amendment was passed in 1865, abolishing slavery, Bass, now a free man, returned to Arkansas, where he married and went on to have 11 children. After a decade of freedom, Bass returned to the Indian Territory when U.S. Marshal James Fagan recruited him. The deputy marshals were tasked with bringing in the countless thieves, murderers, and fugitives who had overrun the expansive 75,000 square mile territory. Upon taking the job, he became the first Black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi. As deputy marshal, Bass is said to have arrested more than 3,000 people and killed 14 outlaws, all without sustaining a single gun wound. Bass found himself in numerous stranger than fiction encounters. Also, many of the fugitives Bass arrested were sent to the Detroit House of Correction, the same city where the Lone Ranger would be introduced to the world on the radio January 30th, 1933. Bass took a creative approach to his investigations, sometimes disguising himself or creating backstories in order to get the jump on his targets. Historian Art Burton said if Reeves was a fictional character, he would be a combination of Sherlock Holmes, Superman, and the Lone Ranger. The legendary lawman was eventually removed from his position in 1907 when Oklahoma gained statehood. As an African American, Bass was unable to continue his position as deputy marshal under the new state laws. He died 3 years later of Bright's disease on January 12, 1910. While the truth about the Lone Ranger may remain a mystery, the story of Bass Reeves remains an inspiration for the real life heroes of this day. There you have your Black History moment. Here is a prayer for racial healing. Today's treatment to end racism. As so we know and rely on the love God has for us all. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. The highest name for God is love. I put my attention on all that all-embracing love now, and I am lifted in love. With the love of God firmly established in my mind, heart, and actions, I speak this word of power now. God as me is a vortex of love. This love ripples out from me to ignite the experience of love in others now. And that love, no prejudice, hatred, or discrimination can exist. Those things have no eternal foundation and must melt away in the heat of divine love. More and more people are called into the wave of divine love now, creating a tsunami of cooperation and the end of all kinds of oppression. I am grateful, love wins, and so it is. Peace and blessings. So I do want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge that all of the prayers for racial healing were created by CSL Seattle. So thank you, CSL Seattle, for creating the prayers for racial healing. So I mentioned in that piece that there are all these stories about Bass Reeves, and I couldn't share any because I only had a limited amount of time. So I want to share one of them now. So he was known for his creativity, and he would make up these like backstories in order to capture whoever, he was after. And so here's one of the stories. Bass walked nearly 30 miles dressed as a beggar on the run from authorities. When he arrived at the home of his target, two brothers, their mother invited Bass in and suggested that he stay the night. Bass accepted her offer, and the sons were in handcuffs before sunrise. After restraining the siblings in their sleep, Bass walked them the entire way back, 30 miles, 30 miles. It was two of them and one of him. He walked them 30 miles back to his camp. So he was not playing. And he was so serious about his role that he even arrested his own son. His own son had committed a crime, a heinous crime. His son killed his wife. And the judge and the marshal wanted to assign the case to another deputy marshal. And Bass said, oh no, I will arrest my son. And he probably had a lot of reasons for wanting to do that, besides, uplifting the law the way that he did. And so he went and arrested his own son. So he was not playing. He took his work as a lawman very, very seriously. And he's embedded as a hero in American history. So there you have Bass Reeves, the Lone Ranger. So the second Black history moment that I would like to share is about a whole family. And so this kind of captures the then and the now. And the family is the McKissack family. And I know my producer loves this because they started everything in Tennessee, right? In Nashville, Tennessee. And it tells the story of the I guess he's like the great grandfather, maybe, Moses the third, whose grandfather, his own grandfather, was born into slavery and learned. Oh, I'm telling the whole Black history moment. Let me just play it. How about that? So this is the story of the McKissack family. Good day. I am Rev Melissa, Spiritual Director and Senior Minister at Rockland Centers for Spiritual Living in New York. Welcome to New Thought Media Network's Black History Moment, a daily inspiration and prayer for racial healing. So today's Black History Moment is a combination of then and now through the legacy of Moses McKissack III. Moses McKissack III was the grandson of a slave also named Moses, who had been brought to the United States from West Africa and put to work making bricks by the slave owner, John McKissack, who owned a construction and brick company in West Tennessee. Moses III became an accomplished carpenter and eventually teamed with his brother Calvin to found the company McKissack and McKissack in 1905 in Nashville, Tennessee. They were among the first registered architects in that state. Among their major designs were the home of the Dean of Architecture and Engineering at Vanderbilt in 1905, the Carnegie Library at Fisk University in 1908, the library at Tennessee State University in 1927, and they won a $5.7 million U.S. government contract to design and build the Tuskegee Army Airfield, the training site of the Tuskegee Airmen. By 1945, the firm obtained licenses to work in Albany, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and Mississippi. Moses McKissick III died on December 12, 1952. Calvin died in 1968. William McKissick, the youngest son of Moses III, and his wife Latrice led the company. After William's death, Latrice became the CEO. Under her leadership, the firm won major contracts for new buildings and renovations, including a $50 million renovation project for Howard University and design of the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. In 1990, Latrice received the National Female Entrepreneur of the Year award from President George H.W. Bush. After she retired and closed the Nashville offices in 2002, her twin daughters, Cheryl and Jarrell, continue Continue Moses' legacy. Daryl McKissick opened McKissick and McKissick in Washington, D.C., and expanded to Baltimore, Chicago, Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles, Miami, and Atlanta. Among her numerous contracts are the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, which is amazing, the Dr. Martin Luther King National Museum, amazing, and many, many others. Cheryl McKissick opened the New York office of McKissick and McKissick, and her projects include the Lincoln Financial National Football League Stadium for the Philadelphia Eagles, the University of Philadelphia Hospital, the World Trade Center, Columbia University, and today McKissick and McKissick is the independent engineer for the MTA. They redesigned and built the new Harlem Hospital, where I was born, Medgar Evers College Social Services Building, and they're rebuilding Coney Island Hospital. Cheryl McKissick also designed the new reimagined LaGuardia Airport, and they are the program managers for JFK's Airport $6 billion project, the largest airport project in the country. I just have to say, LaGuardia Airport is the bomb. Cheryl said that she is humble and proud to be a part of the footprint of New York City as a Black female-owned business and to continue the Moses McKissick legacy. For more than a century and across 5 generations, McKissick and McKissick has grown to be a multi-million-dollar company with over $15 billion in projects. Wow, y'all. So let's just take that in as we go and connect with prayer for racial healing. Let's just take a breath. I sing my prayer of joy. There is one life. This life is God. This life is whole. This life is complete, and this life is perfect. This life is my life now. Every living being is a thought and creation in the mind of God. We are one. We are each created beautifully, perfectly, and uniquely divine, exactly as we are. I delight in the divinity that is you. Joy fills my heart as I acknowledge, witness, and celebrate the millions of magnificent faces of God in this world we are blessed to live in. I hold the vision of our community, neighborhoods, cities, countries, and the whole world living in equality, harmony, love, and peace. I claim and know the joy of being alive and free for all beings. With gratitude, joy fills my entire soul and lights up the world. We are one and divine. Joy to us all. Ashe, and so it is. So I also want to share something that one of the sisters said. So they were twins, Cheryl and Daryl. And Cheryl is based in New York City, and Daryl is based in DC. And I had my moment with LaGuardia, but let me tell y'all, look, it's worth just taking a trip, even if you're not going anywhere. Just go to LaGuardia Airport and see the magnificence of it all, cascading water sculptures. And I mean, it's just amazing the way that Cheryl and her firm reimagine this space. It's just so beautiful. So this is what Daryl shared. She said, we are the oldest African American architectural firm in the country. I thought about how my ancestors would feel knowing I would work on the National Mall and the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. She says, knowing her family history of being enslaved and seeing slavery through the lens of the museum was inspiring. If all of this evil and all of these obstacles were in the way of African Americans and they still were able to accomplish so much, it makes you feel there is nothing you can't do. I know that's right. I know that's right. So there's your Black History moment with the McKissick and McKissick family. It's just extraordinary. And there's so much more to explore with both of those stories. There's just not enough time to do so. So I would just encourage everyone for this National Black History Month to find out about people that you don't normally hear about. There's usually a dozen or so Black historical figures that get a lot of light, right? And did awesome things, awesome things. But there are so many others that we don't know, that we don't know. And so this is an opportunity for us to rediscover or discover for the first time and share that information. So for the Black History Moments that I'm doing with New Thought Media Network, I'm choosing people that I don't know anything about. And it's just filling me up in such a way. And I'm sharing it with my girls because they're not teaching this stuff in school, y'all. Oh, no. Oh, no. Not at all. So we have to take it upon ourselves to educate ourselves and the generations to come because we have a lot to be proud of. So we are the imprint of this country. Every place you see had our fingerprints on it to create this country. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up today's show. Please remember to join me for Sip with Rev Melissa, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Right after today's show, Living Life in Joy, you can join me at Rockland CSL for our Sunday celebration. Today, the topic is an undivided life. And our theme for February is remember, life is calling. Life is calling. And life certainly is calling. So let us all answer the call and do what is ours to do. So peace and blessings, peace and justice. Happy Black History Month. Live life in joy, connected to your yes.